stuck to our guns, and we have done it a week after beginning. Welcome.
This is good. What, third episode in a week?
Third episode in a week, and so
We're
hopefully
not
we can keep pumping out
mucking
two.
around.
We're not
Quickly
here to
before
fuck spiders.
quickly before we get into our three sports.
Yep.
I'm not much of a soccer man, but Liverpool have done it.
Official.
Yep,
Official.
they've done it. And I'm not much big on soccer, but listening to interviews of the players, this one's bigger than obviously 2020 because they've got a crowd this time. So
Yep.
good work, Liverpool.
Cheers to Liverpool.
Good stuff.
Amazing.
It's good to watch
On
them.
on the flip, I've never seen two big dogs like a Tottenham and Man U. So I've never seen them so low on an EPL table before in my life.
Mm,
So that's
yeah,
crazy.
I'm not much of a soccer man, but
Just thought you'd.
Liverpool was pretty much shit. Well, my young years, they were just coming up short. They
Well, they
won
were just middle of the table and choking, and
they won that UEFA, and then there was that one year they should have won it, and then they choked at the end. I think
Stevie
finished
G
second.
slip.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, they. I mean, I always knew them as a choking side until that 2020 year. So kudos to Liverpool. All right, we'll follow the
Definitely.
same template that we did episode one. We'll do NBA, AFL, rugby. So we'll start off with the NBA since we both know what's going on there.
Definitely.
Update: pretty much every single NBA playoff series is 3-1.
Yeah, pretty
OKC are the
much.
only team that's swept, and the one that everyone thought would be 2-all is currently 2-all, and that's Denver and the Clippers. So we'll start off with the easy one. OKC sweep Memphis. What did you take out of that on a OKC side?
Pure dominance, I reckon. They've shown it all year. I think that Shet, I don't know his last name.
Chet Holmgren.
I think him coming into the league, he was pretty cocky, so people hated him. I was one of them, but he's proven he's actually an elite player.
Well, I think between him and Wemby, they'll be 1 and 2 for Defensive Player of the Year for the next 10 years. And maybe 1 year it just goes to Chet,
Yeah,
and then the next it goes to Wemby. Like they're so far ahead defensively, it's unbelievable.
but
Um,
SGA, he's actually stepping up. He's got the pressure of everyone saying he's the best player in the league. I think he's MVP this year,
Me too. Probably
and
biased,
he's
but me too.
literally taking control in the game, which
Yeah,
is
well,
good to
he
see.
he struggled the first 3 games shooting, which was strange, considering they won by so much. But in the last game to close it out, I've got his stats here: 38 points on 13 of 24 from the field. Just absolutely
Yeah,
made sure that they didn't need to go back to
monster
Oklahoma for a
numbers.
game 5. So unbelievable finish there from SGA to close out that season.
Quick
Series,
shout
I
out
should say.
for Memphis side, Pippen, 30 points.
Now, obviously, Steph Curry is one of the best second generation NBA players. Would Scottie Pippen have to be up there as well? He's coming along. I mean, obviously, Steph's so far ahead, but who else is elite as a son? You've got Gary Payton Jr. on
Yeah,
Golden
Peyton
State,
would
who's
be
a
a
great
good one.
defender.
Pippen's definitely one.
He's up and coming. He's doing very well. I mean,
We're
who's
probably
the other
missing an
Curry?
easy one, but I can't really think of anyone.
Who's Steph Curry? Seth. Seth Curry's had deemed out a
No,
good career.
Seth Curry's actually underrated. He's actually had a great
I don't think Scottie Pippen Jr. gets spoken about enough.
because yeah, there's heaps of NBA players that fathers played in the league, but they weren't nothing special.
Yeah, exactly.
But he's yeah, well,
He's
this is
starting to carve
almost
out a
his
very nice career.
coming out game.
You know what? I might early money for next year. Scottie Pippen Jr. is most improved. I
I like
reckon.
it.
I reckon he was because that could lead us segue into the next part. Where does Memphis actually go from here? Do they blow it up, or do they try again?
Well, they weren't really that good coming in because what they finished,
They started
they
red hot and then tailed off. They ended up just under 50 wins. I think they had about
yeah they
46.
finished eighth, yeah, 48 and
Yeah.
34. Either they need another star. It could be
Mm.
Pippen, but Jar needs someone to bounce off because he can't keep doing this. He don't.
Mm.
He needs a D Wade or something. They need a big star, or else by the end of Jar's contract, he's going to bounce to a bigger city where stars are already there.
Yeah, it's hard. You've got Jaron Jackson, who's obviously defensive, and he's stepped up with that above the break three. You've got Jar. Desmond Bain does alright, but is he too small? Scotty Pippen Jr. probably can't be your starting shooting guard then because he's also small. Zach Edey's obviously young. So I'm just wondering what position they probably need a small forward.
Yeah,
I mean, it's obviously hard just to find these on the street, but like a Kawhi or like a Franz Wagner, something like that, that can be that big small forward, power forward, stretch the floor with JJ, and go from there. But yeah, I don't know. Memphis are in a
well,
tough
this
spot.
last game could have been a different game if Jar did play.
Could have been 100%. Did you see him trying to hide himself from the camera?
Yeah,
He didn't want TNT to show him he's doing these ones.
but as
So
much as he would have been the difference, they got swept. Their season's done. OKC, they're my picks to make it to the final.
yeah, mine too. I think they're just so dominant. Can't see them losing to either Denver or the Clippers, just the way they're beating themselves up. Obviously, anything can happen in a Western Conference Finals, but I'm thinking OKC looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Warriors Rockets 2-1. They're still got to play game 4. How have you seen the Warriors without Jimmy?
Well, that last game they played, they were, in my opinion, dominating the paint. Every single point they had was coming in the middle. Warriors couldn't actually stop it. It was just they were shooting.
Houston, this is in the paint.
Yeah, Houston was doing so much in the paint. That's where all their points were coming from, and it just wasn't in that last. That's when or even the third. That's when Steph started heating up because he had a quiet first. I'm pretty sure.
So the one in Houston, I think even the one in Golden State just gone. His first quarters were very, very quiet.
Mm.
And then all of a sudden I'm refreshing the box score or getting time away from work to watch a little bit. And he just couldn't miss. He's shooting at above 50% as a jumpsuit shooter against a top 4 defense in the league. He's been unbelievable. And
He stepped up.
I'm happy to shit on Steph for all the super teams that they've had, but I thought without Jimmy, they'll just gang up on Steph and they won't. And, the defense would just outdo the Warriors now that Jimmy's not there. But Steph's been unbelievable this series, so that probably gets finished in 5 with the way that that's sort of heading. Houston can't
Yeah.
score. Their offense looks terrible.
Yeah, come out the gate on fire, and then I don't know if it's fatigue or a mental thing, but I guess it's Golden State having players like Steph,
Yeah,
Draymond, veterans that have been around stuff like this. Because Draymond is he's been very vocal. He's always vocal, but I reckon he's pretty much almost the glue to
oh, he
helping
is.
their success,
So many
especially in the
deflections.
defense.
Yeah. I thought Shingun would have been having a bigger series than what he is just because of how much bigger he is inside. But yeah, his defensive play calling, Draymond, getting even guys like Quinton Post are holding their own a little bit against Shingun just based on the way that
Yeah.
Draymond's setting them up. They've been unbelievable so far, the Warriors.
But this could go 7. But I just feel like, well, another thing that did suck that with 4 minutes to go, Brooks got fouled out. Yeah, he's not the greatest, but he's a good defender.
Well, it's funny that you sort of bring that up because it's pretty much from that point onwards when you look at the graph of how the game went, and it's about 5 minutes to go, and it just goes Golden State. So
Yeah,
it sort of went coincided with Brooks goes off. Brooks had actually shot 3 or 4 from the 3. So he was
yeah.
shooting the ball well when no one else could for Houston, and yeah, all
He
of a
was
sudden
doing
he goes
quite
out of the
really
game.
well.
And then you can see that Golden State just freed up from there. So what's your tip for the rest of that series? You reckon it'll
I,
go all the way to 7?
I say, yeah, it'll go to 7, but I see Golden State winning it. I
Okay.
just reckon Steph's got the Rockets' number. They've never beaten them in a series. He's 4-0. We'll make it 5-0. I don't see the Golden State going far in the playoffs, but I can see them beating the Rockets.
Yeah, I flipped my tip. I thought that the Rockets would swallow them a little bit more defensively, which they are. It's not like they're scoring, but yeah, Houston also can't score. So when you're holding a team to 100, but you can't even get over 100 yourselves, it's going to be still pretty hard to obviously win. So I
Yeah,
actually think that they get the Rockets in 5. I think they'll win tomorrow, and then yeah, they'll take care of them in Houston as well. Um, Round one series of the league, Denver versus Clippers. Now, controversial
100%.
end to that game. How did you see the Aaron Gordon dunk? Do you think it was a basket, or should have we been going to overtime?
No, I reckon it was a basket. They had that angle that showed his fingers were off the ball.
Yeah, it just depends on who you even talk to. Some people said they reckon that angle showed that his fingers were on it. Some reckon that it was off.
Yeah,
I
well,
had no
my
idea.
opinion is that they bloody scored it, but literally those first 2 quarters, so you had Denver scoring 27, Clippers 22 in the first. Second was Denver 23, Clippers were 26. But then the second half, they were both kind of blown out. Denver was 35, Clippers was 17, and then last quarter, Denver was 16, Clippers 34.
So I practically watched that whole second half, and it was usually you see one half a team explodes and then the other team comes back, and it's a tale of two halves. This was literally all of that, but in the space of the quarters. The way that um, Denver moved the ball, shot the ball, executed their plays, Jokic took over. The third quarter was unbelievable. And then in the fourth quarter, what everything Jokic did in the third, Kawhi just basically did in the last, and just it was
Yeah.
unbelievable to watch. Um, Norman Powell as well, clutch corner 3-point shooting in the last quarter.
Oh,
Um,
definitely.
he in the last quarter, 3 for 3 from 3-point land, and all in that left corner, I reckon. He scored 22 for the game, and 9 of them were in that last quarter. He was massive. Um, I thought they probably deserved to win in the end, but couldn't deny Aaron Gordon. He was unbelievable to have the awareness to jump up for that and get
Well,
that
that's it.
game-winning dunk.
The game's not over, and he stayed aware and got the chocolates. But I reckon this one goes
With
to
no
7.
Westbrook, this has to go
Mm.
7 now. I thought if the Clippers won this game, it would just be a classic lose in Denver, come back and win in LA, and it'll be done in 6. But this has to go 7 now. This deserves to go 7. This has been an unbelievable series so far.
Yeah, 100%.
Um, so your tip, Clips or Denver in 7? Then we both said it would go 7.
I'm going Clippers. I
I think Clippers.
reckon with Kawhi and Harden, they're good enough to do it, especially Kawhi if he stays healthy. I don't see anyone getting past those hands.
The problem with James Harden too lately is like previously his playoff play just goes like that. It hasn't. So
Yeah,
I've been impressed with that in that regard. I just feel like, yeah, it's basically been Jokic. Bit of shot making from Murray, but basically just Jokic that I think Kawhi and Harden and Powell, it might just end up being too much. So I'm going to say Clippers in 7.
yeah,
Now,
100%.
Disasterville to finish off the Western Conference, Lakers, Minnesota. Obviously, it's a 3 versus 6 seed, so if you look at it that way, you'd say it's the underdogs. Minnesota only won one less game, and they
Yeah,
finished the season red hot. Horrible, horrible, horrible way to lose this game 4. The Lakers basically were in control the whole game until the last quarter. They just fell in a hole. Do they have the potential for a 3-1 comeback?
they've got the players for it. I don't see why they can't. They had the game in the bag until Edwards and Naz Reid stepped up in that last. Reid caught fire in that last.
Do you want to hear a ridiculous stat? Naz Reid in the fourth quarter of every game has not missed a shot.
Yeah, crazy.
He's like 9 for 9 in last quarters, and he struggled from this game. and just came in the last quarter and just made play after play. And they even tried to switch him out to Luca on the perimeter, and he just defended him so well. Like, he was unbelievable.
Well,
Um,
even Reeves, he stepped up. He went 0 points in the first half and then gets 17 in the second.
and Tino, as bad as this sounds, he still should have done better in the second half.
Mm.
Minnesota, I watched the game. Minnesota went into like a zone, and they were able to generate so many wide open looks in the corner, and he just bricked these wide open shots and then missed tough ones. Sorry, hit
Well,
the tough ones. So it was bizarre.
I'm pretty sure they were up by over 10 in the first,
Yep.
and then at the end of the first quarter, they let them get close. And then in the
So did
third,
you catch that? Did you see what happened?
when they started catching fire and they
So
started going off the fast breaks.
so it was 32-22. Luca missed a layup. Minnesota go down, drill a three. So then it's 32-25. Then goes back down, turns the ball over. They get a fast break layup, and I think it might have been an and one. So then all of a sudden it's 32-28 going into the end of the quarter. So instead of being up 34-22 with 50 seconds to go, Minnesota go bang bang, score 6 points. It's back to 4 points at the end of the first. Like, little stuff like that. I think the other one
Because they all
late.
let up at the end of the
Well,
day.
yeah. Well, it happened again at the end, in halfway through the fourth. Luca drove the lane, goes for a layup against Nazareth, misses, would have put them up 7. They're coming down the other end on a transition. Luca runs to Austin Reeves, leaves Nazareth wide open at the top of the key, and Naz hits that three, and it's now a 2 point game instead of 7.
Yeah.
Just silly stuff like that, where all of a sudden it's probably a completely different game.
What are your
Um,
thoughts on the JJ not subbing his starters for the whole second half?
well, you'd say for the third quarter it worked. They were down, I think they were down by 6 or 8 at the end of the second. Um, and they just went on this unbelievable run to start the quarter and ended up being up by 10 at the end of the third.
Yeah.
So you'd go, amazing call. I just thought that 12 minutes to 8 minutes is where they probably should have rested Bron, at least. Maybe
Yeah,
Bron and
go
Dorian.
and then swap them quickly, give Luca maybe a minute or two.
Yep, yep. I think it should have
Nothing
been
crazy, just keep a main star on, they can control it.
just put Vando and Gabe on for LeBron and Dorian. Let them fly around defensively. Get LeBron on at the 8 minute mark. Get Luca off for 2 or 3 minutes, and then after that, just run those guys for the last 6 minutes.
Because why wouldn't you play Hayes in the last?
They went away from Hayes after the first 5 minutes today. They didn't even give him any sniff of the second half at all.
Yeah, he played 4 minutes.
Yeah, he played his first shift when they started the game, and that was it. So I don't know what they're going to do there.
Do you see them coming back?
Well, it just makes me like this feels like such a hole that it's crazy to even consider what they did um, with Golden State. This is LeBron I'm speaking about with the 3-1
Yeah,
comeback. Um, all they have to do though is still, I mean, theoretically they win game 5. You go back to LA, you should win game 5. They still have to just steal that one game 6 that all you have to do when you're the home team is just steal one game.
yeah. Do
It's
you
still
reckon
game 6.
if they get blown out, do you reckon LeBron retires?
No, I don't. I can't see that happening. I think all that I can see happening is LeBron takes a pay cut. He's got a player option. He does not take that. He gets a reduced pay. Then they have the money and they have the cap space to sign a center. I think they'll try and get a big center, and then they'll try and get like a Steven Adams on the bench,
Yeah.
and they'll try and get some bigs, and they'll try and go again. I think they got enough there to try and win a championship. If they stole the fifth this year, then LeBron could go for 6, but I think they'll have to try and go one more next year, and then if they win it, he'll retire on 5.
Well, they're not eliminated yet, so anything is possible.
Anything can happen. We probably spoke
Big
about them for
news.
too long.
Yeah.
Should we move forward to Knicks and Pistons game? Bit of controversy in that as
Yeah,
well.
it's probably the best bloody series in the East right now. Two
Yep.
teams that are going neck and neck. I'll cut straight to the end. That foul shot, 100% it was a foul.
Yep. Yep.
All
He went up
contact.
in a natural motion and yeah, just was a full shooting foul. Should have been 3 free throws.
I even talked to Hart at the end of it. He pretty much didn't say it, but you could see he knew. But that's not the players' fault. It's the refs, and refs are honestly in big games. They usually actually don't call it.
Yeah, I've noticed that. This was more of an ethical basketball game. I don't know if you noticed. Cade 4 free throws, Brunson 2 free throws. There wasn't a lot of foul baiting or grifting this
Cade
game,
with the
and
triple double, 25, 10, 10.
that was my main talking point. He's arrived. Sometimes you see people in their first playoff series, they just decline. They're not used to the extra physicality, but
Yeah.
boy, oh boy, he's stepped up.
But the thing is, can the Knicks close it out? They go
Have
back
to.
home. They've
I,
got a lot of chances. You'd think they can do it.
yep, yep. I think Cat and Jalen Brunson get them over the line. I think they'll be very ready for a. Who do they have? What side of the bracket are they on? They have. Oh, they have the Celtics round two.
Yeah, they'll test them.
That's going to be tough. That's going to be tough, no
They
matter
will
which way you look
definitely
at it.
test them.
But no, I think Pistons fans are probably a bit hard done by their not getting
As a Knicks
two all.
man, I'm hoping they can scratch over in 2 days' time.
Yeah, I think they'll be fine. I think that's got to be a Knicks in five for sure.
Definitely.
Who else have we got on the East?
I think
Pacers
Boston.
Bucks.
Yeah, go Pacers, Bucks. I reckon if my Knicks don't make it, I've already called Pacers. Pacers OKC
Yeah, this is interesting,
final.
folks.
Because I reckon the way Pacers are playing, it's just so good. Dominant, quick basketball. They're pretty much playing with the Bucks right now. It's so good to watch.
I saw something as a team. This was a stat from another podcast, and I'd have to check what they shot as a team tonight. I might quickly do that. But they were shooting at like 1.2 points per possession per jump shot.
Yeah,
So they were
they're just
shooting almost above 50% as a team jump shooting.
Miles Turner started the game on fire.
Just went
He was
off.
just destroying it. There's this other lad that was just. I think Shepard started massive.
Here you go.
Uh,
Listen to this for some
Halliburton
stats.
played great.
So you've got 129 points from the Pacers. Turner, 9 of 13. Halliburton, 6 of 11. Nemhard, 8 of 14. McConnell, 7 of 10. 4 of 5. 5 of 8. 5 of 10. 5 of 7. How are you supposed to defend that when every single player is above 50%?
Yeah,
So
and
just crazy jump shooting.
to start the game, the Bucks couldn't hit a shot, and the one that started off the Bucks scoring was Lopez from three.
Yeah, which you're not going to get a lot of those through the game.
If that was
So
back in 2010, that would have blown someone's mind.
could you imagine telling them how Lopez turned his career?
But one reason why they probably dominated, probably took the air out the tires, was Lillard's injury. So
Now,
it looks like an Achilles. Well, it is. The old look back and
look back, think someone's kicked you. What do you think? I think he retires.
I reckon he's done.
He's just had a blood clot scare, and now he's gone straight into a Achilles as well. Can't
That's
see
probably
him.
almost the whole next year. So I reckon,
He's 35, so if he misses next season, then he's 36. And then all of a sudden, you're trying to come back and try and be
come back and all he'll be getting is probably a 5 million, 2.5 million veterans contract.
to spot up and probably sit in a corner for 15
Just
minutes a game because he can't play defense.
a shadow of what he once was,
I think he
pretty
just needs
much.
to retire now, and he can just go out as had an awesome career, but just got injured towards the end.
Yeah, never. I Well, he came close when he got to the conference finals, but I think that's it for him.
So we'll quickly gloss over Celtics or Orlando because I'd actually much prefer to talk about Bucks and Celtics. Tatum's been amazing. He's obviously missed that one game, but he's been unbelievable this series and definitely carrying Boston there. Franz and Paolo are going to be a problem in the future for NBA defenses.
No,
They've just
definitely.
carried this team. Orlando need to just find some spot up 3-point shooters to drive and kick so that these guys can have some reliable shooting on the outside, but they've been unbelievable.
Yeah.
That'll finish 4-1. What are your thoughts? Now, you've controversially said Pacers go on to the verse. You reckon they'll beat both Boston and the Cavs, or Boston and the Knicks.
I do.
What do you think gets them over the line against the Celtics?
That's a good question. I haven't really watched much of the Celtics play in these playoffs, but I have watched them play enough. I reckon it's just going to be hard basketball. I reckon each round is going to end up like the Clippers and the Nuggets. It's just going to be a show. It'll be neck and neck, hard ball, pick and roll. Miles Turner is going to be the one that gets them over the line, in my opinion. He's been
Okay.
in this league long enough, and the way he played today was the show. He's the man. He might not be an all-star, but he led that team. He started it. He got the momentum going.
Yep.
And then that's when all the role players started doing their jobs. Halliburton started actually playing the way he should. Everyone says he's overrated, but he's
I
actually,
don't get those comments.
this back end of the year, he's been playing his role. I reckon
Playing like a
the
6 foot forward Steve Nash.
in my opinion, they're the dark horse. I reckon you put up against anyone, they're going to win.
Well, what I find interesting is the Pacers were actually there about in last year's Eastern Conference Finals. It would just get to the last sort of 3 or 4 minutes, and then Celtics will just use their class to outdo them at the end of games. I feel like Pacers are a little bit more well-rounded and have a little bit more depth this year, and might be just a bit harder to guard than they were last year. So
Definitely.
I don't reckon it'll be as easy as last year. And
Well, look at
everyone
their
was,
coach. They've got
yeah,
Carlo.
yeah.
He took
He's
Dallas.
he's he's taken underdogs to championships before,
Yeah.
so I reckon that'll be an interesting series. I just their jump shooting lately has gone up to a Celtics level. I know
Yeah.
they've got Pritchard, and I know they got White, and I know they've got Tatum, but Jalen Brown's jump shot has not been as good this year.
Yeah.
So I wonder if the Pacers can take advantage of that. Brown's hurt. He's got his wrist strapped. I think he
Yeah.
dislocated a finger. So I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're onto something. The Pacers.
Well, quick one just back on the Bucks. If the Bucks lose, well, they probably will Giannis leave?
I think he has to. I think he has to. I think the Bucks have nothing. They literally have no
No.
future prospects. They don't really have any draft capital. They have nothing. So while Giannis is 32, you've missed the boat. You took a chance with getting Dame. Hasn't worked. You've just got to try and get as much in for Giannis as you possibly can, and you just try again in a few years' time. It's going to be a hellhole. They're going to be worse than Detroit were a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I reckon he goes to a team in the West.
Could you imagine how much more of a fucking slugfest the West becomes if he moves there?
Yeah, it'll be
That's
interesting.
nightmare
That's
fuel.
for sure.
Imagine if he goes to the Heat with Tyler Hero.
Well, that's the rumors.
Is it
They
really?
say. Well, they're saying Heat's got the best look for him. I know some people say Golden State and all that, but I can see him playing at the Heat.
Well, the Heat's just got a bunch of dogs, and then if they can fit it out with some more shooters and that sort of stuff, then why not? Like, that could be a good
Yeah,
little
'cause then
team.
you'll have Giannis and Bam, your big
Giannis,
two.
Bam. Imagine that defensive twin towers, and then you've got Tyler Hero on the outside. That could be a good little lineup.
Definitely.
What does that do to Keller Ware though? Or does Ware then go to the Bucks as part of the trade?
Probably. You'd probably have to get rid of some good
Up
players
and
to get
coming
him.
rookies, yeah.
Yeah,
Try and
or
go
pick
again.
them too. Who knows? 'Cause they won't let
Um,
Giannis go easy. That's for sure.
oh man, it'll be a draft haul. It won't be no Anthony Davis and a pick. That's for sure. All right, AFL. We can breeze through the AFL because there's not as much to talk about this week, but we do have some
Uh,
headlines.
well, we'll start off with the first game. Demons and Tigers, 20-point game, 83 to 63. These are looking alright.
These are looking alright. The probably scoreline doesn't suggest how much of a blowout that was. I'm pretty sure the Tigers kicked 4 goals to 1 or something in the last when Melbourne were just cruising. They didn't care about that
Watching it,
last.
it was a boring game to watch.
It was.
Tigers aren't obviously their best, that's pretty obvious. But when the third quarter, these were 11 goals 7 and they finished 12 goals 11, so they could have blown it out.
They could have easily. Yeah, I really like watching those Tiger rookies. I reckon Trainer and Layla are guns, and they've got a few good kids up forward. They'll be fine in a few years, but the Tigers aren't an interesting watch at the
Nah.
moment.
But it's good to see the D's are finally getting a bit of
Back on
wind,
their high horse. Yeah,
wind back in their bloodstream again.
yeah.
But straight into it, Anzac Day. Your boys had a good crack.
We had a good crack. I didn't feel like the score didn't. I don't know. This is the flip of the Melbourne Richmond game. I didn't think it deserved to be 41 points in the end.
Well, didn't
Um,
if you watched it without the score, the ending didn't feel like 41. I think they gave up the goals, but it was close.
yeah, I feel like we were alright. We were competitive. I
The
mean,
weather didn't help.
Collingwood are just slick. They're the flag favourites at the moment. I mean, we've got to keep in mind we're supposedly rebuilding, and Collingwood fucking
Doesn't
absolutely
help when
destroyed Brisbane in Brisbane. So
a 34-year-old Steele, if that's his age, plays the game of his life. We're getting 30.
did I not say Steel side bottom for the Anzac Day medal would be a sneaky bet? I think I did.
I
So
think he did.
I didn't end
I
up
forget
putting
who
that
I
on
said.
myself. I
One
should have
man
ended
who
up putting that
actually
on.
should have won the medal, I think was robbed, was Jamie Elliott.
Kick
Kicked the
five.
bag,
He's got
20 touches.
he's what Steph Curry is to the Warriors. He's sorry to the Heat. I can't even talk. Jamie Elliott to the Bombers is what Steph Curry is to the Rockets. He makes the Bombers, Jamie Elliott, we are his bunnies. He just does whatever he wants against us. It's fucking crazy.
Alright, the most deflating game to end Friday, Dockers 83 to Crows 67, 18-point win.
Another one that the scoreboard doesn't show the true game. I think the Crows kicked 5 goals to 0 in the last to make that close. I think
Yeah, they were
Freo
coming
just
back.
destroyed him.
I have a good friend who loves the Crows, and he's gutted about the performance of the Crows to start the game. It wasn't the Crows that have started the year, that's for sure.
Mate, we imagine so the Crows started shit up. They've now lost a few in a row. Then you've got Freo. They lose to Melbourne, but now they've beaten the Crows. Like, could
Yeah.
you imagine supporting those two clubs?
It'd be
You're
tough
just going like this all the time.
because Frio's got the Saints next week and Crows have got the Blues. So
Both should win. Both should
they
win.
should.
I still have Freo as such a good list, but I saw a they when they play, their on-field team is younger than North Melbourne,
Mm.
so they're still super young. So
They're sitting ninth, so they're in a good spot.
they're in a good spot. They just need to string a few together, I reckon. But the Crows were disappointing. I didn't expect them to be so far behind heading into three-quarter time.
Yeah. Saints versus Lions. I was a bit nervous. 188 to 73 our way, 45 points.
118 to 73.
Oh, 118, sorry.
I was going to say 188 to 173 would have been a fucking awesome game.
Yeah, I was looking at the Kangaroos score, which they scored 88, sorry. But was I a bit nervous? Yes, after we got blown out. But they just went back to how we play. We played in Melbourne too.
Do you know it was? So you guys were 8 goals 8. I reckon. The Saints had kicked 3 in a row. I reckon it was 41 to 56 or something. And then You guys kicked a goal, but then you kicked about 5 points in a row, and you were nine
Yeah.
goals 13 to 6-5, and then um, the Saints went down, I think, and kicked a goal as well. And I just thought, if Brisbane don't get the next one, Saints could actually come back into this game. But from that point on, it was sit and steer from Brisbane. They just didn't let them get anywhere close, and just bit of a masterclass halfway through the third quarter onwards.
Well, that was our problem last year. We kept kicking more behinds than we did goals. Luckily, we finished 17 goals, 16. But I think they've got that it factor when shit's hitting the fan. They can realise, oh, we can actually bounce back from this.
Zach Bailey is in career best form. He's unbelievable.
Oh, definitely.
He's one of my favourite players to watch. Love Hugh McCluggage. He actually copped the tag over Lockie Neal. I wonder if Rossi the Bossy is regretting that. Neil had 31 and 3, so I don't know if old Rossi boy is regretting putting Winhager to McCluggage. But
We had four blokes with 30 touches.
yeah, I mean, pick your poison.
Yeah,
Who do you want in your fantasy team? Do you want Neil? Do you want Dunkley? Do you want McCluggage?
and they played out of their skins. This game was the next one. Port 97 to Kangas 88. Very interesting. I've got a lot to say about this because you got Port that flogged the team like the Hawks, and they were like real up themselves, and then they struggled against a team like the Kangas. So
Yeah,
where do they really sit?
I think
It's
I don't know. I don't know. Now the only thing I'll give Port is this game was probably the worst umpired game I reckon I'd ever seen. Un Horrible 50-meter calls, trigger finger calls. They had no control. It was just umpires over umpired that it just almost ruined the game. The
mm,
teams by the end of it were so frustrated they were just bashing the shit out of each other, and it just didn't seem like Port were actually concentrated on playing football at all by the end of it.
well,
It was
especially
ugly to
Horn
watch.
Francis because that's his old club. So there's
He got
always going to
another
be
punch on.
a bit of niggle. But 3/4 time, he gets pulled in by his captains, Butters and Rosie, and gets a
Stern
not,
talking to by the Godfather.
and then he walks away. Not the best look.
I think he just needs to just pull himself down. Like, he almost pulled out the Bailey Smith
Mm.
talk book at the end of the post game. Did you see him? He's like, "Oh, it's not a good look. I probably shouldn't be doing that." I was like, "Jesus, it just sounds exactly like what Bailey Smith's been doing when he's been given these ones."
Because I know everyone's
But
like, he should be dropped. He would if he wasn't as good as he is, that's for sure.
mate, you can't drop him. He had 27 and a goal.
But
Like,
the
fuck
way
me.
I like about it, he wasn't getting abused by Kenny. He was just getting spoken to him.
It's just like,
It was
mate,
like
what
a
does the team need more? Do we need you to
yeah.
get
He
the
was
ball and
just like
fucking kick a goal,
talking
or
to
do
him
we?
like this, just doing
Yeah,
these ones, mate. Just calm down.
yeah.
But to have his even Butters, he's usually revved up. But for him and Rosie to your two leaders to be like, mate, calm down. And then
Well,
that last quarter, he stepped up. He played fucking unreal.
he did, and that's how they got the chocolates. Like, I'm pretty sure North Melbourne kicked the last goal to make it seem closer than it was. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, he pulled his head in the last quarter, and you've got you've got yin and yang, don't you? You've got Rosie who's cool, calm, and collected, and then you've got Butters who's a psychopath.
Yeah.
They want Horn Francis to be in the middle. They don't want him to be over with Zach Butters. You can't have too many psychopaths on your team.
But I'll bring in the Dogs game because I want to talk about Port and Dogs next week. But the Giants 81 to the Bulldogs 113. The Dogs are looking like they mean business again.
Well, we
Finally.
talk about imagine barracking for the Crows who'd lost a few. GWS as well are confusing. Some weeks they look like they should go
No.
undefeated, and then other weeks they dish up second halves like this. It's fucking bizarre.
But I guess the Dogs, come out their chest puffed out in front of them now that Bond's back with them. That lift
Yeah,
your
and
spirits for sure.
it's just sort of put everyone else in line. Like Ed Richards had looked better. Harms has a less important role. He's looked better. Libba's looked fresher towards the end of games because he doesn't have to do everything.
He's just a
Frazier,
bulldog.
Frazier's getting more of the footy now that Bond's come back, which
Yeah.
you'd think would be the other way around usually.
Big
But
Timmy English is playing good.
yeah, so it's just sort of all falling in line, and they obviously still have Trelaw and everything like that as well. It's been
No, they
kind of
still
crazy
got
to see,
friggin' what's his name? Ugelhagen.
mate.
I don't think I don't. I'll
I don't
just
think
get
he
rid of him.
steps foot. I don't think he steps foot in a Western Bulldogs game again. I think he's done. Do you
No,
know he doesn't get match payments? He's just on 800k. So he's basically just
living the
living
dream.
living the dream, 800k and doing nothing.
No, he needs to pull his head out because he's annoying.
I don't know if we do this in the AFL. I don't even think we do. Bevo Coach of the Year. They've got a lot of injuries, and he's been able to get them to 4-3. They've had a pretty tough draw, the Bulldogs.
So I reckon it's a bit too early because you could almost put Dimmer in there if he gets the Suns to a really good spot.
Yeah, that's true.
Because if the
So,
Suns, or that's our
so
next game.
well, because the only thing is like one of the Bulldogs' losses was to the Pies by 6 points. They're the only team that's just sort of gotten close to the Pies post. Obviously, Collingwood's around one loss. So it's just interesting to see that the Bulldogs have been in pretty good form. But yep,
But
Suns second half masterclass I've gotten written down here.
oh, they were good. They were down by 29 second quarter, and I'm pretty sure in that third they kicked 42 points to 1.
Yep, 6-6 to literally 1 point.
Insane.
The only
Without
thing that was good for me in that behalf was I have Matt Roberts in my fantasy team, and the ball was down in their forward line so much that Matt Roberts on the halfback for Sydney just got so much of the footy.
Yeah,
But other than that, like Gold Coast just fucking dominated in that
I
second
think
half. It was unbelievable.
the Swans are officially done. We won't see them playing grand finals for a good decade.
Yeah, it's weird with them. I mean, they've got no forward line now, so that doesn't help. But it's kind of weird watching them. Like, they made the grand final against the Cats, got humiliated. Terrible the next year. I think they missed the finals. And they came back and they made the grand final again the year after. They've now started this year. They're only won 2 games. Barely scraped over the line against Freo. Do they bottom out again and then try and come back up the next year?
Is Coxie the man to coach them?
Well, he was Longmuir's right hand man for so long. You'd think he'd sort of know what he's doing. I feel like he knows what he's
You
doing.
think something would rub off, but yeah, I think the Suns are playing too good. Love it. We'll go on to the next one. Blues Cats. That was a good watch.
That was a good watch. I was at the gym watching that, trying to.
Blues actually dug deep and played good footy because in that last quarter, Cats had every right to come back and beat them,
Hmm.
but they just played strong, tough footy and got the win over 18 points in front of their home fans. It was
Well, you would
nice.
have been nervous. I think it was first 5 minutes of the last quarter. I reckon the Cats had kicked 3 goals or something like that, and it got back to 10 points. I think. And so, like you said, they had every right to just sort of fall over and get overrun, and they stuck firm. I think Bossy would be pretty proud of his group for sure.
But
Did that
coming
one.
out of the Cats, Scott won't be too happy.
Nah, nah, it's probably one that they let slip. I mean, they've been
I think
playing
it's a
pretty good footy.
game they should have won. That first quarter, I think they let slip away. I reckon one of the moments of the game might have been third or last quarter. Danger versus Wiedering. A 1v1 ball
Yeah,
running to the
massive.
boundary, and he just took him on, got him holding the ball. That was huge.
That was massive. And then Danger obviously tried to play for the free kick. I thought Wiedering's just the fucking best. I remember watching all his draft, like the year that he was going to get drafted, watching all his highlights. Just knew he's just going to be unbelievable. He's one of the best
Sammy
defenders
Walsh.
I've ever seen.
Sammy Walsh definitely stepped up yesterday. He looked like his old self.
Yeah, yeah, he was unreal. He's been unreal the last few weeks. They've slightly changed his role, made him go a little bit more outside. He's been very, very good.
There. And to wrap it up, the most boring game to finish your weekend. Hawks and the Eagles.
I love how they hide that in the Sunday graveyard shift. That was fucking horrible, that game.
Bloody 50-point thrashing, 124 to 74. I think we knew the result was coming. I think I barely looked up at the TV to watch it, but
The only thing I had interest in was I had Lloyd Meek look like just the best ruckman known to man in that game. He's in my fantasy, and he had 50 hitouts. I think he actually broke a Hawthorn record.
Jesus.
Um, so that
Yeah,
helped me a lot,
everyone
obviously.
pretty
But
much,
other than that,
heaps of people stepped up that game. It was, how many is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 players had 20 touches.
yeah. See, when you can just have a team game like that and play the game on your terms, then it's more enjoyable
But
to
then
play.
you look at the next few players, they go 19, 18, 17, 17, 17, 17, 16, 15, like 14. Everyone must
He's
have
around the mark anyway.
played around. Because
Um,
there was only 3 players that had under 10, which was Barras, McDonald, and Scrimshaw, which had 9, 8, and 5.
well, and they're in the back line. They're not even fucking supposed to get the ball anyway.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts? Where do you think Harley Reid's at?
I reckon he played well. 19 touches, 2 goals.
They sent him forward at that stage. He was trying to go back and he couldn't get near it, and so they sent him forward and he ended up flipping the switch. Is he a $1
But
million man?
I'd only give him $1 million if you'd stick him in a good team. Because I reckon he'll flourish with good players around him. Like a few more stars that are going to help him out. Not ones that are washed from 2018 grand final. I think he needs to come back to Victoria and show his actual potential. Because I think he is the star man of WA. The pressure's on him. Prince of Perth, they'll call him, and he can't do anything at this point because they're just getting thrashed.
So, what's interesting, it's been massive talk that apparently we might get him. Now, obviously, we'd need to send the picks and have the money and everything. Little inside with what happened with the Kako trade. The Bombers actually took Melbourne's first round pick this year. Melbourne are currently the 4th pick, and then Essendon would be the 7th pick.
Yeah.
If you're West Coast, let's say it stays how it is, because I can't see Melbourne dropping below North, Richmond, or West Coast. Would you take a 4th and a 7th to help build more depth in your club and get rid of a guy that kind of looks like he doesn't want to be there?
Yeah.
Now you don't have to pay him $1 million. You can get more players, more depth. Or do you try and ride it out and keep your number 1 draft pick?
It would be tough because most people would say, if I was the GM, I'd say keep him because stars aren't born in 2-3 years. They got to still grow.
Develop, get their bodies right. Yep.
If I was them, I'd keep him, but I just feel like he wants Victoria. He wants that Chris Judd treatment, but at least Juddy had taken West Coast.
Juddy gave him
flags.
7 years. Yeah, I mean, maybe a slightly different situation with how in depth that team was, but yeah.
Just one big talking point of that whole week. Paul Curtis's 3-match ban with his tackle.
Stupid. I can't believe it.
think
They
it's
have to challenge that.
because he drops his knees, goes on the side. I think the reason that knocked him out was the Port player's knees caught the grass, which threw him forward, which knocked him out.
Yep.
Which is complete accident, so you shouldn't be getting...
I
That's
don't know
not
what
the
he's
tackler,
supposed to
that's
do there.
almost the player getting tackled.
Hmm.
I just don't see how that's 3 games.
I don't know why we do it based on outcome instead of the action.
Yeah.
Like, the action was not suspendable, but he got knocked out, so they're like, oh, 3 games. It's like, no. Did you see the one in the VFL with the draftee from, I think, St Kilda?
No, I hadn't seen that.
Frontal bump, nothing wrong with it. Literally, it was just like 2 guys colliding, footballs in the middle. Bloke then, from the bump, falls back and hits his head and knocks himself out. They want to give the bloke 4 weeks. It's like the bump was completely legitimate and fair. There's nothing wrong with the bump whatsoever. but then you're going based on the outcome, which was the bloke knocked himself out. How does that even work?
I think Jimmy Bartel said, I was going to say Butler for a second. Bartel said it best, saying the AFL just needs to come out saying, if you concuss someone, 3 weeks. Just say it.
Yeah,
If you're going to get someone concussed, no matter how you do it, that's 3 weeks. Like he's just saying, just say it then.
yeah,
So then
yeah,
there's no ifs or buts. But
yeah.
just
I mean, it
quickly,
just would make it easier.
I'll just say the game for next week for everyone to watch is just Port versus Dogs.
That'll be great. Is
It's
that
going to be,
in? No, that'll be in Melbourne too, won't it? That'll be fast footy
yeah.
on the on Etihad for sure.
But
That'll be
yes,
a good
that's
game.
the AFL, the NRL. Should I quickly just go over the scores and then just go to the key points? Or,
I reckon. I
all
reckon.
right. So Thursday, which was Broncos and the Dogs, pretty much a whitewash.
Well, I've got here
40.
Bulldogs question mark. Tell me about it.
Yeah,
Go into the Bulldog. Oh, actually, no. Do what you were going to say. Go through your scores first, and we'll recap.
yeah, I'll quickly just go through them. Bulldogs lost 18 to 42 Broncos. Roosters 46 to Dragons 18. Warriors 26 to Knights 12. Storm 24 to the Rabbitohs 16. Cowboys 50 to the Titans 18. Panthers 10 to Sea Eagles 26.
Oh, I couldn't
Raiders
believe that score
40.
one.
Dolphins 28. And Tigers 20. Sharks 18. Para with the bye.
Yeah,
Yes.
I couldn't believe a few of those results on the weekend. Now, I'm not obviously
Going
the
back
biggest
to the
NRL watcher.
first game, I was rushed home from footy training to can't watch it, and they were down 18-0. Um, oh,
So, blink of an eye. What minute
yeah,
was that?
first try was in 2 minutes. I think the second was like in the 10th or the 12th. Like they just went bang bang where it was 34-0. I don't know if it was wet weather that we don't know how to play, or I know they say Suncorp like Origin, New South Wales, but it was raining, so it wasn't a packed stadium.
Pack
I
Stadium,
just,
yep.
I just think it just got to our players' heads, like we're just winning. It was expected, in my opinion, and Broncos after choking the week before to the Warriors, come back and just smashed them. But we had a better second half. They only scored, what was it, 8 points to our 18. So it was our first half that killed us. What's going to kill us now is we have 4 or 5 suspensions coming. So we're fucked.
Yeah, well, that was going to be our other talking point as well, but I'll quickly gloss over like what had happened with the Bulldogs. Do you reckon they just got that reality check? Didn't come prepared, didn't come ready.
100%.
Get the reality check. They've obviously then come out in the second half and played better, but too little, too late. Do you
Yeah,
reckon
that's what
the
I.
easiest bet next week is just Bulldogs 11 plus? They just come out, they've had a massive week, and they just get drilled.
I would have said that if we didn't have 4 suspensions or 5 suspensions on some of our best players like Kara and Burton. I can't pronounce the other players' names because they're fucking Islanders. But that's going to be our problem, I reckon, is those
Depth.
suspensions. And talking to, well, my cousin James, him and I agree. We reckon the Broncos play better without Walsh. Cobbo's such a better fullback. He's not that flashy dude trying to do all this flashy passing
All
and
the
stuff
TikTok
where
plays.
does all these turnovers and drop balls. Cobbo played so good in the rain. I reckon he has to get that spot because I reckon if they're not going to play Cobbo as fullback, which they probably won't because of Walsh, Cobbo will probably end up leaving the Broncos and going to a place where he can play fullback.
Well, so how long's Walsh out for?
I think it was 4 to 6 weeks at
So
first.
what do you
So
do? Cobbo plays as well as he does. You got to make a decision then if you're the Broncos.
well, Walsh can't really play anywhere else because they're all taken by good players. So
So do you make him re-earn it? So where does Carbo go when Walsh is back in? He's just not in the side.
he's on the wing,
Right, okay. So he has more
and
versatility than Walsh.
they're both Origin representatives, so they're not like one's a representative, one's not. They both represent. So
But then how'd their winger go? The one that would normally probably then not play,
I
but
think
then
he's done
comes in.
really well. They both played well. They both scored. I'm pretty sure both wingers had tries.
So if let's say this next 4 to 6 weeks,
They'll just
um,
have to play it out.
yeah, and just play it by ear because it's like Reece Walsh is obviously that big name. Now he just came to the Broncos recently, didn't he? He didn't start there.
No, he was at the Warriors. He's
That's
been there
right.
long enough now, 3, 4 years or something.
Yeah. So yeah, I wonder
So
if they make a
he's earned
decision on
his
that.
stripes.
Interesting
But
though.
yes, it will be interesting. I'm still. Hopefully he doesn't play Origins, but he won't.
What's happened to the
Well,
Panthers?
oh,
Completely capitulated.
I think more people are starting to realise that maybe Luai was the key to help Cleary. I think Cleary's still a gun player, but I just think it's not just Luai. I think they've lost enough stars now that the dynasty's officially over. I don't see them making finals anymore. They're rock bottom.
Crazy how
No,
quickly it can fall. I mean, usually you see that they're here and then they'll go here and then it's a drop off. They've just gone fucking straight down. They've just
there's
gone from
so
top to bottom instantly.
obviously because they've had so many people leave. They've got all these. I wouldn't say young players, but you got these players coming into their system where it's just not working. A
Yep.
lot of mistakes. They almost come back and tied the game 16-all with Manly, but the try got denied. And then almost because they had momentum after their first try, it was like bang, bang, bang. But that last one was a no try, so it was like holy shit, they're coming back.
Yeah. Yeah, and you could see that like just simply by the graph like of minutes scored and then if you go further in depth there um, you can see all the stats that back that up with the tackles and the way that they own the field in that section of play. Other team couldn't get a run on it at all. Then all of a sudden, try gets denied. Mentally, you could just see they all of a sudden were like, right,
Yeah,
maybe we can't do this. Maybe it was too much, and then it just fell away from there.
but we'll see how they go next week. I'll quickly see who they have, but I keep tipping them, thinking, oh yep,
It'll
they should
turn. It'll
bounce
turn.
back.
While you're doing that as well, just wanted to speak about Rabbitohs so far have been the most middle
They
of the
got
road team I
Broncos.
reckon I've ever seen.
Yikes.
Oh, there you go. So it probably doesn't get any easier for
No.
the Panthers, unfortunately. Um, Rabbitohs, they're going to
Yes.
be the typical eighth place side in this comp, I reckon, this year. They've
Yes,
simply
they've lost 3 straight now. The Rabbits. They now sit 4-4, 11th place.
they've beaten everyone
So,
below them and they haven't beaten anyone above them. So
well,
does that continue?
they should get a win next week because then they have Newcastle who've lost 5 straight and they started the season on fire.
Mm.
Um, they got Wayne Bennett, so you'd think they would
They figure out something and they slowly
figure
start
it
to
out.
turn the tide.
Latrell's in trouble again, so they might lose him for a week or two. He's pretty much the Toby Green of the NRL.
Yeah, yeah, and he acts that way as well. He's always
It's
getting
just the
fined
spur
and
of the
suspended.
moment. So
Crack
we'll
someone
see
for
what
no
happens.
reason.
Storm bounced back, which was good to see.
Storm looked good.
Warriors pretty much dismantled. They only won by 14, but the Warriors are finally looking good.
It was a bit of a sit and steer. They did, yeah, like you said, they won by 14, but it's not like there was any pressure. If you're a Warriors fan, you were never nervous watching that
All I
game.
can say, if you're a Warriors fan, you'll be happy. Knights,
Yeah, they're in
well,
strife.
you're well. Let's not forget they're getting Dylan Brown for 10 years for
Mm.
13 million. So you want to hope you can change that around, because if you're losing like that, players are going to want out.
Was
And
I muted that whole time?
I could hear you.
Oh, you could hear me? I don't
Yeah.
know. I just looked down. I thought I muted my mic, but then all of a sudden it's still.
Well, we might have
Anyway,
to watch back, and I might be talking to myself.
yeah. Anyway,
Cowboys thrashed the Titans by 32. They're finally back. Nanai played unreal because he got dropped last week or the week before,
yep.
and he absolutely killed it. So he'll be back in the Queensland side for sure. They're back up. I think they lost their first three and they haven't lost one since.
Yeah, okay. So they're back and ready to
Yeah,
go.
they're six. They've won four straight. Yeah, they lost their first three and they've won four straight. They're doing what Brisbane done last year
Yeah, yeah, in
in
the
the
AFL.
AFL.
Yep.
But they're safe as the last two games on the Sunday. Raiders and Dolphins was actually a good game because
Yep.
Dolphins were smashing them. Not smashing them, they were just played so good. They were winning. And then the Raiders, old Ricky Stewart, must have said something aggressive to scare them. And they just went bang, bang, bang to the point where they're now sitting third on four straight wins.
So when I watched them play against the Sharks, their defense looked really, really solid.
Yeah.
I feel like they just made some adjustments at halftime and just tweaked that defense and then went into full shutdown mode. But for them to be able to flick a switch like the way that they did and then just, like you said, go bang bang, that's a mark of a good team as well.
Well, they only
Uh,
had two tries in the first half.
mm. And then what's that, four in the second?
No, they had
Oh, five.
one, two, three, yeah, five. While
Yeah.
Dolphins had nothing in the second.
Yeah. So just to be able to flick that switch
So it was
and it's
28-10 at
unbelievable.
half time, and they
Yeah.
finished the game 40-28.
Yeah. Like stupid the way that they can.
But it'll be good to see how far the Raiders can go this year. But this one's a tough pill for you to swallow. Your
Yeah.
Sharks losing by two. I'll just say quickly off the bat, Tigers look better with Lockie Galvin back in the squad.
Mm. And like I think it showed early they Tigers had their pep in their step with him back because they got out, they jumped us early. We did another good job of sort of grinding back into the game, but too little, too late. We did obviously
He's
get a little bit unlucky hitting the post,
hit
but
the
I mean,
post. You said several shots at it.
yeah,
Like
I don't know what
heaps
some of the
of
plays were. I feel like a
opportunity.
few of those passes went a bit too wide and didn't give kickers enough time. But I
No,
mean, we
it
should have.
seemed a bit rushed and panicked at
Yeah,
sometimes.
I just
Just
don't
what
think
you're lucky you're still sitting seventh.
somehow 4-4. I mean, we've been a bit unlucky. We could easily be 6-2, but yeah, I mean, we shouldn't have just put ourselves in that position anyway
But
to
a
begin
big
with.
thing out of that week was 17 sin bins.
Yeah,
It's getting ridiculous because it's not like the contact's happening and they're seeing it and then they're blowing the whistle. That it's happening. A whole set of six is happening, and then the bunk is calling it.
so is that a bit much? Should that just be an on-field call?
Well, Joey John said it best. Like they can't, if it's happening then and there, that's where they need to do it. They can't have it play out, then they go, all right, we need to go back.
Yeah,
And some of
yeah.
the send-offs are people tackling, and it's literally grazing the player's head. Yes, it's contact, but it's not.
Deemable for send-off.
Um,
This has been
I've
a
set us
talking
a
point of the
challenge.
AFL as well. Yeah, you go.
How
Yep.
many sin bins do you reckon they'll get this week in the Magic Round?
Well, you
I'm
think with
going for.
should we draw a line? Should we go? Are we going over or under 19 and a half? That's three
Well,
more
it was
than
17 this week, so we'll
yeah,
go unders or overs. I reckon it'll go over 17 this week
over that mark again this
because
week.
the spotlight's just on Brisbane.
And they want it to be a good show.
Yeah, so I reckon
So
it'll go over 17, and this time next week, I reckon they'll be going crazy over it.
yeah, especially if the bunker starts deciding games and
And just
decisions.
one more big point. The Bears are returning to the NRL for the first time since 1999.
So they were in the league and they were originally from Perth as well.
No.
Well,
So
they
in
weren't.
1908 up to 1999, they were the North Sydney Bears.
Yep.
And then the year 2000, Manly and North Sydney Bears merged where they were the Northern Eagles. And I think the Northern Eagles only lasted probably 3 or 4 seasons, and then Manly went straight back to Manly Sea
Just
Eagles.
Manly. Yep.
So the history of North Sydney was not professional. They were just a New South Wales Cup team. But in the Super League era, there was a team called the Western Reds. They were from Perth. And they played, I think, maybe 5 seasons. But that was that whole Super League era, so that heaps of teams folded after that. But now, if you went back October last year, everyone said it was done. They weren't bringing them back. But I think Perth, Prime, whatever, Perth Mayor and the NRL have come to an agreement to where they don't know if it's going to be called the Perth Bears or the Western Bears, but there will be a rugby league team in Perth, and I think they'll be using the oval where the Union was.
Okay.
That team that folded. Um, they'll still play games in North Sydney, I believe. So they'll still go back to their roots. And I'm pretty sure the North Sydney Bears New South Wales Cup will then be the feeder for them. But they're coming 2027, so literally 18 months away until there's another team. So I think they said Brad Arthur's the top pick. And now they're looking at all these players, who's going to be there, because they need a marquee player. There's been drama with Lockie Galvin wanting out, so maybe he goes.
Well, and the good
The
thing
whole
that it can be for a cash grab, they're going to have to pay someone.
Yeah,
So
'cause
you can
you
make
got the whole
yourself some
Walsh.
quick dollars.
You got Cobbo wanting to play fullback, and Walsh, who they'll probably end up clashing for position. Cobbo or Walsh could be going to Perth, because it's not like a shit little town. It's a beautiful city. Like, you could definitely live there. So it's going to be good, because back-to-back years, there's going to be 2 brand new teams. You're going to have the Bears, and then New Guinea starts the next year.
So they're going to set it up like what the Bulldogs and GWS did in Canberra, and like what North Melbourne do with Tassie. That's what they're going to do with North Sydney.
Yeah,
They're just going to play a few games there each year.
and the same thing will happen with the Papua New Guinea side. They'll be playing some games in Cairns, I believe.
Yeah, okay.
So they'll be playing in Port Moresby, and then they'll be playing in Cairns as well. But I'm actually
So
excited to have.
teams have to actually travel. I mean, I suppose if you're a Papua New Guinea team,
Yeah,
you're going to have to travel all the way to Papua New Guinea for a game of rugby.
yeah. Well, they do the
Wow.
Prime Minister's 13 at the end of the year, but yeah. So pretty much, there's
Your
only
dad used
two
to
new
work in Papua
teams.
New Guinea. How long was the flight? Isn't that 4 or 5 hours?
Well, he went from Adelaide, so
Oh, a little bit
that's why it
further.
was so longer. But talking to him, you won't want to raise a family like that sounds bad, but it's pretty dangerous there. They're lovely people 100%, but they're not like how we can walk the streets, like how it's nice here.
Hmm.
Like, they walk around like cops have like big guns on them. They've still got people that are living in the bushes,
Yeah.
like not
Yeah, like
homeless people,
fully
like they're proper
tribesmen.
tribed out.
Yeah.
They've got pretty bad diseases and everything. Like, I'm sounding like a racist, but it's legit. It's a dangerous country.
Yeah. So
And
then,
they've
how are they going to have Papua New Guinea as like that's its country's team playing, or do they
they're
still
just
get? Can you
no,
get your
there's gonna
star
be
players? Can you get Ryan Pappenhausen to go play for Papua New Guinea?
yeah. If he wants to, it's gonna be like the Warriors,
Yeah. Right. Okay.
and that gets to my last point. So with the Bears and New Guinea coming in, that's 19. Who's gonna be 20?
Well, who's going to be 20? I mean, the reason why I thought they were bringing in the Papua New Guinea team was to get rid of the bye.
Yeah, that's what I
So,
thought, because I didn't think they'd bring in Bears until another 10 years.
hmm. So
But
then all of a sudden you're back to uneven.
so how close? Because you got 18 months,
Mm.
and then you've got New Guinea the year after. When's the next team come in? Because
Mm.
then
And where?
I reckon it has to be another New Zealand team.
Mm.
There's enough here in the country.
Mm.
Give New Zealand. They've got bigger.
Buckets of
They've got
talent.
more cities than one. I
Could
see
have a
people say.
Christchurch team.
I see people say Adelaide and Tassie. No, Tassie's too cold for rugby league, and living in Adelaide, everyone hates it.
Well,
No
the only
one
thing
likes
with
it there.
Tassie you could get away if they play in Canberra, you might get away with Tasmania, I suppose.
Yeah, but I think New Zealand's been in this league long enough since '95. they deserve another team.
Yep. Yep. They've got enough of a support base to structure that.
Yeah, and they don't need to
North
build the
Island, South
stadium
Island.
because they've got all the union teams.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
can just share the oval. So I
Exactly.
think,
So I can't see that being too hard for them to sort out, to be honest.
but yeah,
What year would you have that in by?
I'd say 2030.
2030. Yeah.
Make
Yeah.
it
So
quick.
you'd be looking at 5 years, three teams. Is there enough talent and enough people to fill out 20 sides? This is the problem that they're having with the AFL with the
Um,
expansion.
I reckon yes. I reckon the thing with AFL is it's a nation game.
Yep.
Rugby league's a worldwide sport,
Yep.
so you've got the talent worldwide to do that. I reckon.
So do they get enough from South Africa and England and those sort of places?
I don't think there would be South African league players, but it's mainly Australia, New Zealand, and England,
Yep.
or I should say the UK, because you've got your Irish, you've all those types of
Scotland
places,
and everything
Wales,
like that as well.
because they're all union and stuff. But when you got the World Cup, but the thing I don't like about the World Cup, they can be like Jamaica was in the last World Cup and they were ranked 19th, and Malta was ranked 10th or 9th and they weren't in there. Made no sense. But everyone in that Jamaican team wasn't actually a pro player.
Just literally you off the street, tried out, got in, sort of thing.
Not pretty much just a gammon league. No one was an actual professional. They might have had two, but they weren't actually legit. Like, weren't in the Super League, weren't in the NRL. So maybe they do need to fix the international competition more, but I reckon there's enough talent, 100%, especially if you have it two based New Zealand sides.
Yep.
Plus, people would love to move over there. I'm more interested to see how New Guinea goes. Who wants to play over there?
Yeah, and will it have to be more money? Like you'd have to think that they'd have to go for more dollars if that's going to be the case.
Would you even live over there?
No. No. Well, I mean, I'm not in that position. Would you go for 900K a year, and when the cost of living in obviously Papua New Guinea is going to be so much lower?
Hmm.
Could you see yourself? Yeah,
Time
that's going to
would
be an
tell.
interesting topic.
Single male, yes. Wife and kids taking over there could be a different story. I'm not saying New Guinea's that bad, but it's not Australia. I'll just put
Yeah,
it that way.
exactly. Exactly. So that's just where you're going to have to draw the line as a professional athlete. Is it something that you could see
Yeah,
yourself doing? Yeah. Well, I think that just about wraps us up.
definitely.
Covered all the topics.
Yeah.
So, next episode will be more of just a yip yap and a chat.
Yep, yep. Chat. We'll have a few
But
questions. Would you rather? I think we're going with this time.
would you rather for episode 4? And that'll sort us out hopefully for another hour. But then we should have pretty much then the wash up this time next week of what's happened in round 1 of the NBA playoffs. A lot of that by then. There might be some early round 2 playoffs. If not, we'll have some
Yeah.
predictions. All right. I'll catch you on the flip
Sweet.
side.
Sounds good. Peace.